Okay, so today we're looking at an IELTS Task 2 essay. We're going to be reading through, we're going to be grading it, and we're going to be seeing what kind of score this might get if it was submitted in a real IELTS test. So let's look at the type of question. It's a to what extent do you agree or disagree? So it's an opinion-based question, and you have to give an answer or you have to give your own thoughts in your essay, okay? So it's going to be very important for you to in some way say, yes, I do agree, or no, I disagree, okay? So let's look at the topic. Creative artists should always be given the freedom to express their own ideas in words, pictures, music, or film in whichever way they wish. There should be no government restrictions on what they do. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? Okay, so it's quite an interesting topic to think about, and it's to do with so when I think of creative artists, I'm thinking in terms of musicians. Okay, we could be thinking of writers or authors or filmmakers. Okay, and should they have the freedom to express their own ideas? Okay, so this is kind of about the idea of freedom of expression or freedom of speech. Which is one of our human rights. Right? You have the right as a human, your human rights, you have freedom of speech to be able to say what you want, or express your own opinions. That's sort of a human right that we have, freedom of speech, freedom to express your own ideas. Okay. So the second part, there should be no government restrictions on what they do. So when we talk about government restrictions, paraphrase of this, and we can think about censorship. Okay. So censorship is the noun, and then the verb is to be censored. Okay, so meaning for the government to restrict or cut out something that you want to say or something that you want to show. So I know one example of that is I know sometimes in Korea when idol groups are going on TV shows to sing or dance, sometimes there's some restrictions on the lyrics and they have to change the lyric. There's some kind of censorship about what you can and can't say on TV. And also sometimes the dance moves. So sometimes the choreography has to be changed to be shown on TV. So that's a type of censorship in a way. So the question is really about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and censorship. Okay, so should the government have the right to stop artists doing what they want? Or should there be some restrictions on it? Okay, so to what extent do you agree or disagree? So the first thing you should do when you're reading this question is you should make a little plan. So you should come up with your idea. Do you agree that there should be some restrictions or do you not agree? Okay. And from there, this will have your very classic, you'll have your introduction. Okay. You'll have your body 1, your body 2, and your conclusion. Okay. The simplest answer is going to be to either pick one or the other. Yes, I agree, or yes, I disagree. The stronger answers, like you're getting into that 6.5, 7.0, 7.5 kind of answer, is you're going to have that kind of nuance to it. In some situations, yes, there needs to be restrictions, but in other situations, I agree that they should have freedom. So getting into that kind of gray area. All right, so let's see what this candidate has done. So let's look at their introduction. While it is argued that some regulations should be necessary on the things that artists do, I would have to support the opinion that artists should be free to present their way of thinking, reflecting ideas to their performances. Okay, so as an introduction, this is totally fine. This has got a very strong opinion. So I know exactly what their argument is. I would have to support the opinion that artists should be free to present their way of thinking. Okay, so they're on the agree side of this. Okay, so he's saying artists should have freedom. There should be no censorship. Okay, so in terms of reflecting ideas in their performances, that's fine. To beef it up, I would have liked to have some kind of example or background information sentence to kind of introduce the topic. So this for me would be your second sentence, and I would like to see a first sentence which would give me some kind of information about why this is a controversial area. So you might want to start off with something like, recently there has been increased controversy about the expression about the ideas expressed by certain artists. Okay, and then if you wanted to, you can make up an example. Like the examiner doesn't know if you're going to make it up. So you can say BTS recently expressed a controversial opinion about something that's going on. Okay, and so you're kind of introducing the idea, and then you're showing them that your sort of vocabulary here. Recently, there's been increased controversy. Okay, so it's a good word to know. Sort of like there's something contentious or something debatable about the ideas expressed by certain artists. While it is argued that some regulations should be necessary. Okay, so I would just want to add in that extra one sentence to this student to try and sort of beef up that introduction, because I do think the introduction is a little bit short. Okay, but overall, I think it does what an introduction needs to do, in which it does the most important thing, which is give me an opinion. We've got a nice, long, complex sentence. Okay, so we've got like a comma here, we've got another sentence, we've got another comma here. Okay, so it's quite a long, nice, complex sentence, so it's showing me some good grammar. So let's look at the body one. On the other hand, there are arguments in favor of restricting some activities of artists. Okay, so I've got a problem with this very first sentence. I'll give you a minute to think what you think my problem is going to be. Okay, it's here, on the other hand. So this is, on the other hand, is the second part of this phrase. So it needs to be on the one hand. On the one hand, there are arguments in favor of restricting some activities of artists. Okay, I like to use the word restricting some activities. I think this is good vocabulary. Okay, he's paraphrasing, or she's paraphrasing this idea of censorship and restriction. So I like this vocabulary. One of the reasons can be that many young people could be affected by the ideas of celebrities who they want to follow. Okay, so I like that they're showing cause and effect. Many young people could be affected by the ideas of celebrities who they want to follow. So we've got the celebrities who they want to follow. So this is quite a nice grammar structure here. So they're showing me some more complex grammar, and it's used correctly, so that's nice. This means that the effects of famous people's ideas, what they say, and their behavior to public is enormously powerful, so that common people just agree with the ideas of their hearers without any judgment. Okay, so they've given their point, okay, and then they've done the important thing, which they've kind of explained what it means, okay? So they've said that young people can be affected by celebrities. This means that. So now they're explaining, why is this dangerous, or why is this important to think about, okay? So I like that they're going further, and then this is going to be good for their answering the question for their argument and cohesion section. So let's look at the grammar. This means that the effects of famous people's ideas, what they say in their behavior, is enormously powerful, so that common people just agree with the ideas of their hearers without any judgment. The grammar here is pretty good. And again, we've got quite a long, complex sentence here. So I quite like that they're showing some pretty good and pretty consistent grammar, which I like. I don't quite think the phrase common people is quite right. So it should really be ordinary. Okay, common people is quite negative. Say common people. We wouldn't really use that just to talk about everyday people. So you can use the phrase, I would say the phrase ordinary people. Or another thing we use is everyday. Sometimes you might say something like an average person. Okay, but if you say the word common, it's got kind of like a negative connotation. So the meaning of this is kind of like negative. Okay, so if I said, oh, he's just a common person, it would be quite a rude thing to say. But I said, oh, he's an ordinary person. That doesn't have the same negative. So I would use any of these phrases would be better than common here. That sentence is pretty good. So look at the final sentence. Another reason, so no comma here. Another reason is that if some artists make violent and sexual contents, it would be harmful for young students, resulting in serious social problems such as violence or sexual harassment. Okay, so they're arguing that if artists can say whatever they want and they make some kind of violent content, then this can actually have a harmful effect on young people and resulting in serious. So what I would like to see to extend this point here, okay, is I would like to see an example, okay? So again, you can use the new form of complex sentence to introduce your example. So you can say something, for instance, and then just make it up. It doesn't have to be true. The examiner doesn't care. So for instance, within the past 6 months in South Korea, there has been a public scandal where, let's just say middle school students were influenced by the lyrics of, and then you could fill it out, So I would like to see an example here to support your idea. So you've given me the reason, and then I want you to then support that with a relevant example to explain why this is correct. Okay, and then you can just make up some example. So for instance, within the past 6 months in South Korea, there has been a public scandal where middle school students were influenced by the lyrics of a new hip hop group who influenced them to steal and smoke cigarettes. For this reason, I think some people argue there should be censorship on what some artists can say or do. Okay, so I would want to see this expanded a little bit more. But overall, I would say a very solid paragraph in terms of vocabulary, quite solid. In terms of grammar, very solid. In terms of ideas and expanding on your ideas, I wanted to just be a little bit longer, the same as the introduction. Next paragraph. On the other hand, in my view, it is beneficial for artists to be free to show their ideas. I really like this sentence. This is a good sentence. We've got a little clause here. Okay, so you're making it a complex sentence, which is good for your grammar. And you're also making it very clear that now we're going to change to see the point of view that you support. It's beneficial for artists to be free to show their ideas. First and foremost, again, this is a very nice linking phrase. I like this a lot, okay? Rather than just saying firstly, this is a more formal and more academic way of introducing that. First and foremost, freedom would be the best way to maximize creativity. Rather than saying would be, I would just probably say is, or, is shown to be the best way to maximize creativity. Would be is too unsure. You're saying freedom, it would be the best way. You want to be more definite, more strong, because this is your opinion. Okay? Freedom is the best way to maximize creativity. It is definitely believed that artists cannot make original and unique artworks under the monitored circumstances. There shouldn't be a comma here. It should be joined together. It is definitely believed. By who? Okay. So this is fragmented, doesn't quite make sense. So rather than saying it is definitely believed, you want to have some kind of phrase that shows that it's definitely something happens. It is definitely shown, or it can be clearly seen that. Okay, so you're seeing it rather than you're believing it. See, otherwise you have to say who believed it. It's definitely believed by many people, but it's stronger to say can be clearly seen that. Okay, because if I see it, it's stronger evidence than if someone just believes it. Under the monitored circumstances. Okay, so this phrase is a little bit awkward. So I think if I was going to rephrase this, I would say, it can be clearly seen that artists cannot make original and unique artworks while under close monitoring. Close monitoring by government censorship regulations. Okay, so again, we're going to try and rephrase the key point from the question a little bit differently. And then it's while under close monitoring. Okay, under the monitored circumstances, we would never use monitored circumstances together naturally in English. It sounds awkward as a phrase. So I would rephrase it to this way. But I understand the person's meaning. However, we then move into secondly. Okay, so what I would like to see here is I would like to see an example or a further explanation to support this. How do you know that they can't make unique and original artworks? So, for example, you could quote someone. Okay, so you could add in this sentence where you could say something like, for example, famous let's just say famous British singer, and then just make up a name. Famous British singer Bob John said, government censorship kills creativity and innovation. Okay, so innovation is a synonym for creativity. Okay, so again, you want to support your idea with an example, like in order to expand your ideas. So you've already done previously an example, you've already kind of made up an example. So you could say a quote, like a fake quote from someone to support your idea. Again, it's what you're showing here is that you're showing that you know how to add in speech by someone else. So you're showing grammar skills. It doesn't matter if the quote is real or not. Okay, so you can make something up to support this idea that you can't make original and unique work while the government is watching what you do. Okay, then it goes, secondly, creators can encourage people to have attention to more social issues, to pay attention to more social issues, especially in drawings and writings, which can attract the public's attention to social problems. I like this idea a lot, this idea that if artists are creative and can talk about whatever they want, they can draw attention to social problems. Again, I want to see an example, okay? There's lots of examples going on in the world right now. Think about the war in Ukraine or other issues that have come up where artists have tried to draw their issues to it, like the Black Lives Matter movement or any of the sort of actions against government censorship in different countries. So if you can think of an example where an artist has used their power or their platform to draw attention to an issue, again, I want to see used as an example here. You could even quote like a fake study, okay, to show a different type of example. A study by, I always use UCL because it's my favorite university. A study by University College London by UCL showed that social issues raised by prominent celebrities such as Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift received 50% more donations than issues that didn't. Therefore, we can see that it's beneficial for artists to be free to show their ideas and beliefs. Okay, so again, this is it's a solid paragraph. You've got two relevant reasons, but they just need to be supported and expanded by giving examples within your paragraph. That's what I'd like to see. Okay, let's look at the conclusion. In conclusion, although there are some merits of restrictions on artist activities, it seems to me that it would be more beneficial for them to be free to demonstrate their ideas to the public for our society. Okay, again, as a conclusion, this is fine, but it's just one sentence. So a really good thing to be able to do in your conclusion is to summarize your previous points. Okay, and it's quite a tricky skill because what I mean by summarize is not just to repeat exactly what you just said, but to give some kind of overall theme to why you think artists should be free. It's kind of said for our society, but this is very vague. Okay, so I'd want you to be a bit more specific. It would be more beneficial for them to be free to demonstrate their ideas to the public in order to allow them to innovate in their practice and draw attention to controversial social issues. Okay, so then it's a bit more expanded, okay, rather than sort of keeping it short. I think that'd be my main feedback to this candidate is their ideas are good, their grammar is good, their vocab is good, but they're a little bit short on sentences. So what would I get if I was grading this? So in terms of grammar, I would say very strong in terms of grammar. I like they showed some use of complex sentences, and they really made very few errors, which I liked a lot. So I think overall, I would want to give this one, I'm thinking a 6.0 or a 6.5. In terms of grammar, For a 6, we need to use a mix of simple and complex sentences, which they've done. Produce frequent error-free sentences, which they've also done. Good control of grammar and punctuation. So I think I would want to probably give them a 6.5 for grammar because I thought it was quite good. But again, if you want to show me more range of sentences. So if you're introducing stuff like examples, if you're able to introduce things like quotes, okay, you're showing more skills and a more range of sentences, which I think would help bump you up to that 7. In terms of vocabulary, yeah, they do use an adequate range of vocabulary for the task. They do use some less common terms, which I like. They're very good at they have nice paraphrasing. But really what I think I was missing from this was the keyword censorship. Okay, that's really what the most common paraphrase we would use in English for this topic. So without using that, you're not really showing me that you understand that that's what the topic is about. So I would have liked to have seen them use the word censorship to bump up the vocabulary score. Pretty much it was so in terms of grade, I think again I want to put their vocabulary in that sort of 6.5 range. Coherence and cohesion. I think they're definitely above a 6 because it's very logically organized. It's logically organized. They use cohesive devices is good. They have good linking, apart from that one mistake in the very first paragraph. And there's a clear central topic within each paragraph. So I would probably put this at a 7. I think it's pretty good. There's good progression. They're consistent in their opinions. So what they say is in the introduction is their opinion, and they support it in body 2. And then they also have the same in their conclusion, which is good. The weakest part, honestly, was task cohesion or task achievement. Because even though they address all parts of the task, it's not extended enough. So all those times I said, oh, this is good, but I want you to add in one more sentence or more examples. Okay, that's what's going to bump you up into the 7 band for this. Because even though they present ideas, they don't develop them or extend them. So it's kind of actually at a 6.0 for task achievement because it's not supporting with enough examples, which is what I want to see. Okay, and so you can see, but by introducing more examples, that's going to help you show more grammar. It's going to help you show more vocabulary. Okay, and then that's going to expand that up. But overall, I would say probably a 6.5 for this essay and a very good effort overall.